Welcome to Beyond the Game, Season 2. I am your host, Shavar Patrick, and today we got a special alumni guest, Naz Bohannon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for making time. Can you take us back to the time you were growing up in Lorain and what role you played with the community?
Yeah, so for me, I like to refer to myself as Lorain's son. So I was a kid who grew up on the east side of Lorain, right over there around like Fillmore Avenue, from Fillmore to New Hampshire. A lot of my family members are still on the east side to this day. So grew up going to the schools and just being in the community. I went to Larkmore. I was the first class at that new building it was. I remember the old building being put down. From there, went to Longfellow to Lorain High. You know, that was kind of the tenure of what it was. And as far as the community and me saying, like, the city's son, I have a big family on both sides of my family, but I was the kid who had a lot of freedom, which for some kids isn't always the best because you know it can deter your route and your destination. But because of my freedom and just being raised with the right morals, you know, respect, honor, those certain things, I was always able to be, you know, I was a kid who stayed at a lot of people's houses. I was a kid who was around a lot of people's parents. So there's a lot of people in this specific community who's had their hand in helping to raise me and to do so. And for that, I've always been grateful of the city and always done things with the city in mind and want to give back in that way.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Do you feel like you just went off of, you said you were Lorain's son, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's pretty cool too. How does it feel to, you know, be back in your community and giving to others?
It feels amazing. So it's funny, I was just on a panel yesterday and they asked a similar question and I kind of got emotional because I'm like, I've always wanted to be what I've never seen or like one of few of what I've seen. So in that, always doing something with the city in mind, I've wanted to push the bar for kids around me to be like, hey, you can do something extraordinary. We can come from the remnants of this place and go be whatever it is for you to be. So a lot of everything I've done in my life has always been geared towards watering the soil here. So to now be in the position that I'm in and to finally be able to, you know, have the resources, have the connections, have the network to do just that, it's a great feeling. It's almost like, you know, I don't know, it's like full circle moments is what I've been calling them this year, or having good problems. It's not like the problem may be, okay, you can't extend yourself in every direction you want to, but at least being able to extend yourself. So it feels amazing to be able to come back and give back to the community here.
Okay. Like, at what moment in, like, your high school career did you know, like, this is what's going to take you far? Like, this is what you want?
Man, high school. Prior to high school, on my first ever team, we had a lot of mantras and things that we went by. One was hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Another was use the game, don't let the game use you. So I kind of always been locked into the sense of this is going to be my vehicle that's going to teach me life and learn life. As far as high school goes, it had to be my sophomore year. My sophomore year, I played on that team that went 25-1 and lost in the regionals to Eds. But, like, bro, it was like living in a movie. Like, I was a young kid. I was 15 for half the season, turned 16 late in January. But, like, sold-out crowds, you know. We sold out Akron's Arena, the intensity of the games, just the feel of it all was like, yo, I'm living in a dream now. So that's when I was like, this can be my life for the rest of my life if I do this the right way.
Okay. I know you said it's good to be back in, you know, your city and helping people out. Is there, like, anyone that you came down here to, like, visit? Like, you know, like, come back to talk to them?
To talk to specifically or to, like, see? When you say visit, I mean, again, it's funny to me because every time I'm home, I always get the question of, like, you know, hey, like, what are you doing here? Like, you know, there's nothing here for you. There's, like, But like I always seen the place in an opposite way. And like I've traveled a lot of places in this world, and it's like you don't know where you're going until you know where you come from. Right. So a lot of me coming home is, visit my family. Home is the community. Home is a feeling. Home is all of that. Again, near and dear. I have the city tattooed on my arm. But talk to specifically the youth. I want to connect to the youth. I see from afar some of the things that go on in our community, and like not being able to have my feet on the ground, having a platform, having a voice, being able to have a direct difference, I feel like sometimes bugs me. So when I come home, even if it's 1 or 2 kids that I affect, I want to come home and be able to be attainable for these kids, be able for them to see that it's physical, to see that this dream, like something can actually happen. Talk to somebody who's been down this path and understand the direction it is that you want to go, and give them some light or hope.
Okay, that's a good answer. Dang. Okay, so what was it like transitioning, from college to, overseas?
There's a culture shock. Like, you go away, and I mean, I'm a person who has a bunch of different sayings, but one is, you can't teach what you don't know, and you can't lead where you don't go. So I've kind of always known that this is an option in my future if I make it one, if I do everything to make it one. But you don't know anything until you actually do it. So the adjustment was huge, I'll say. For my first college stint, I was right up the road in Youngstown, which was cool because, again, I was a part of a community that, like, a lot like home, where they rallied behind me for the way that I played. It was a lot of gritty people, blue collar, who strap on their hard hat, go to work, and can do those type of things. But because I was so close, everybody from home could experience college with me. When I left and went to Clemson, was the first time where, again, I had visited a bunch of places, but to actually live in a place for close to a year, 10 hours away from home, adjusting to new things, knowing people. I was a grown man, but there was still a sense of like, wait a minute, what's going on? Pause, trying to get familiar. So to do that across the world in a place where, like, hey, again, I have family members who go to Columbus and think they're out of town. Like, to go somewhere that takes a 10-hour flight, and there's a 6-hour time difference, and just you don't speak the language. The food is different. The culture is different. It's a culture shock. But the way that I approached it was just like, anything else I do, I'm going to dive right into it and try to make it the best, try to figure it out. And after I did that, being open-minded helped me a lot in that adjustment period. But as great as the highs are, there are some lows that come with it that you have to get through, but you'll be all right.
Okay. Yeah. We got a lot of great basketball players here at Lorain High now. I think you may know some of them. Jay Beto.
Yes.
And Avon Killian. And would you say, like, Jay Beto is like...
Yeah. So, specifically, and I'll talk about him in reverse, because Avon is like... Avon makes me feel old in a funny way, because I still see Avon as the little kid who was running around practice, who was sitting on our bench, who's done everything. So, like, I am so, like, just honored and, like, great to see, like, who he's grown into be. The man, the workhorse, his work ethic, everything it is that he is. Jay Beto is special. Jay Beto has things that, from a basketball standpoint, you can't teach. You can't teach size. You can't teach athleticism. Those are those things. I want to speak to him specifically just about understanding how special he is, because a lot of times we don't get it at that age, and it comes with good problems, I say, where we talk a lot about the distractions of the outside world, our community, and some of those things that we have where it may pull you another direction, but we don't get to talk to kids about everything that comes with being the person who, God put something great onto you. Yeah. And you can affect others, and you have the ability to influence others. And not just from a basketball standpoint, but from life, for what you do. And that comes with a burden of its own. So that's carrying yourself in a different manner, although your peers may do something different. That's making others around you. That's taking some blame for some things that's not your fault, but you're the person that is put on because we know you're capable and can do so. That's being a leader. Those are things, because for where he's going, he's going to have to be equipped with all of that because he has the potential through basketball to go so far beyond here. But he has to understand it and know it. And I'm saying this to you on the podcast. But when I sit down with him, I'm going to say the same thing to him because it's something that I would love to have been said to me. And I've been blessed with peers around me to come tell me how to prepare for that road. And he has the ability to do it. And sometimes it's hard because I was a kid who had a light that was different, but like none of my family members really knew. Nobody knew. So coming from that route and being on the route it is that he's going toward, but he has all the potential in the world. There's nothing that can stop him. But he has to be okay with all the good things that come with it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's. I heard. Well, so what position did you play?
Basketball. I don't know. I'm kind of a swing man, like a glue guy. Like I love to say, I live my life in that way too. Like I say, there's a lot of things that you can learn about a guy by the way he plays basketball. So towards the end of my career here, I was kind of like a point forward. I averaged 6 assists, 5 assists my senior year. So getting the ball off the rim, pushing it, being able to read a defense, put people in different positions. But just naturally, I was always in that bigger 3, 4, 5 position and being okay with just, I'm okay with doing the grunt work, the dirty work, stay behind the defense, go get you a putback, go get you an offensive rebound, run the floor in transition, those things. So kind of playing more towards positionless, if that makes sense.
Okay. What on a professional level, and probably you still do now, but who do you like as an athlete in the NBA? Who do you go back and look at games and try to, bring their game into your own?
It's a little bit of everybody. So young, we grew up here. LeBron is right up the road. So we love LeBron for what he does, but everybody's not 6'8", 6'9", in a tank. I like watching guys now. Like I love watching Siakam. I love watching, those bigger swing man, 3, 4 wings who it's not sexy, but it's productive. He gets to his spot. He knows what he's doing. He swings. He can hit an open 3, but he's also versatile enough to where he's a mismatch nightmare for dudes. Yeah. So how do you guard him? I'm also grew up, a little bit older than you, but younger than the generation before me to where I've seen the shift in basketball happen where I'm in love with guys who shoot a mid-range jumper and they want to be a little bit more physical and make things happen. I'm not all into guys that's just, let's chuck a lot of threes, let's not play defense, let's bounce like that. So,
okay. If you weren't playing basketball now in a professional level, what do you think career path you would have took?
Just away from sports in total?
Yeah.
I probably would have I went to school originally for engineering, and then I switched because I was okay for engineering, but my GPA wasn't okay to, keep my basketball scholarship, so I had to make a hard decision there and switch. From there, I went into business school. I like the entrepreneur world. I like being able to – I want to be a person who creates jobs. I always say, be an opportunity dealer. So being able to run my own company or be a venture capitalist enough in spaces to have positions to where I can come home and I can help our community with – it may be something simple like, hey, I got part ownership or part franchise in this Subway. You can have that position, or I'm connected to these people and do so. I love to write, though. So like author, I was super intrigued with you writing a book. Like asked young, what would I do if I wasn't playing sports? I would have been a writer, so I write. So I'm in, again, part of that entrepreneurial journey. I got some books that I'm writing. I got some, probably would have done a sales job to go to corporate America to get some money for a couple years and then pour it into the things that I want. Nonprofit, community things. So things that just align with me. If it wasn't sports, that's where I would be.
Okay. How did you take game losses when you did lose?
I'm an emotional guy on the court. So those who know me know that I was big into the crowd and feeding off of energy, and I believe that energy is a currency that's been given to me. So, and that energy is infectious. So again, kind of like I was alluding to earlier, you have to know how that works in a positive direction as well as a negative direction. Everything has duality. So young me, pissed, hated it, huff, puff, what's going on? Boom. One thing I never did though was point the finger because I wasn't raised that way. So I was always hard on myself young because I was always like, well, Naz, what did you do? How it was your fault. Why didn't you affect it? So even if I had it was games, I might have had 20 points and 10 rebounds. Okay, but you didn't you should have had 30. You should have did this. Maybe you didn't get that stop. Maybe you didn't. So I was super hard on myself. The older I've gotten in life, I understand that losing is a part of the process, and learning how to win, and in developing who you're going to become in life. And basketball is a space that teaches you how to fail, which a lot of us don't talk about, but like learning how to fail or learning that it's okay to fail in certain aspects are a part of you building to what you want to become and where you get to.
Okay. What do you hope the kids take away from the experience beyond just basketball skills?
Again, I hope that the kids take away everything this game teaches. For me, this game changed my life. We talking about from learning diligence, from learning, like I just told to you, how to lose, from just learning the different aspects of roles and identities and just how those apply not only to a basketball team, but a corporate building, how they apply to life, how delayed gratification works, meaning I started playing basketball as a 9-year-old. I didn't receive a check from basketball until I was 23 years old. And like living in a world where everything is about, oh, I can get rich overnight, or this happens instantly, or like, no, there's stepping stones, and those things teach you valuable things about who you are as a person and what you can do in life. So like there's so much from the game of basketball that question alone I could sit here and talk to you about for 2 hours, but just the experiences of it all, going somewhere different, learning new things, learning the people skills. Me being able to sit here and talk to you like this is because I've played basketball on a team setting where I have to over communicate and work together and have team skills, or I have to be able to learn how to communicate with my coach and then learn how to communicate with my peers and then figure out what's going along in there. So then that brings about problem solving. So that question is packed with so much, but there's so many things.
Okay. How would you tell kids that don't have the same support system as a lot of people at home to get better and push yourself harder?
I would tell those kids that life comes down to you. I don't know how much faith people have. I'm a big faith guy. So, and sometimes when you bring God or religion into things, it steers some people away. But for me, life comes down to you, God, and the person in the mirror, right? And with my son, he's a blessing that was given to me to flow through me. And his attempt at life is not my attempt at life. I'm here to give him the parameters that I'm supposed to, but he's the one who has to live it. So we're all dealt different cards. And sometimes our closest people to us don't really actually understand who we are. Sometimes they're dealing with some of the pressures of what they have going on their own. And sometimes you have a different mind. You have a different light than you. We all have different trial runs at life. So we have to try to figure out controlling what it is that we can control and not taking some things personal. That goes back to your basketball question. That was every time a loss isn't, personal. A coach not playing me isn't personal, isn't this. So despite whatever circumstance I'm a part of, yes, there's some people who start this close to the finish line. Yes, there's some people who start this way. Yes, there's some people who has 100 people in the crowd. Yes, there's some people who has one. But ultimately, no matter where I come from, I can move forward. But it has to happen between me and the person that I'm looking at, and be okay with do everything for an audience of one. And for me, that audience is God. There's times where, as positive as my life has been and in the direction that it's been, me and my parents haven't always got along. We haven't always agreed on what was going to take place. But this is my life, and my gift isn't your gift. It isn't our director's gift. It isn't the next person's gift. And that's okay. That don't mean we get to be disrespectful to one another. That don't mean anything. But my calling is my calling.
Right.
So it may not be understood by you. That's all right. I don't want you to spend time trying to force people to understand what it is that you are, because you're unique and they're unique. So I'm saying that to say, be okay with others not being okay with what your dream is. It's yours. So let you understand it and you believe in it be all the motivation it is that you need. Because if you lose yourself, it's not going to happen. Yeah. You got to have it within here between you and you before anybody else going to believe it. Because that's life, bro. A lot of people ain't going to believe it or know it or appreciate it until they see it. So you see where you're trying to get to. Mm-hmm. So keep believing that you see where you're trying, and you can get there no matter what's happening in the now.
Okay. Yeah. Dang, that's deep. You know, back in the day, what would you tell yourself now that you have so much knowledge and went through so much? What would you tell yourself in high school that, you know?
I would tell my younger self to, you actually can do it. There's times where, like, I've always been stubborn and, like, I can do anything I put my mind to. But sometimes I let things creep in. Sometimes I spend my life, like, trying to be, you know, have a balancing act of all that it was. And in that, I sometimes felt the fear of, like, what if it doesn't happen? Or what happens if this goes left? Or, you know? So I would tell my younger self, you can do it, but stay focused. And the coolest thing to do is be yourself. So I always been my own man. And there's a lot of different facets of my life away from being a basketball player. So as much as I was a basketball player, you know, I was at early college and I was stuck in books. And, you know, I was everything that made me who I was. But sometimes that could be to my demise as well. And understand there's nothing wrong with isolating yourself to get to where you want to get to. And that's the coolest thing that you can do. And in that you're going to be where you're going to be. I still ended up where I am. But, like, young me was a decision away, a split second away. And I teeter-tottered that line a lot to where we're not having this conversation today. I don't have the position that I'm supposed to have to be able to come back and speak to kids or give back to kids. This entire story looks like the cliche thing of a neighborhood kid did this and I turned into a statistic. So that's some of the advice I would give to myself.
Okay. This question right here is kind of a personal question, but, you know, when you have friends and you trying to steer them in the right direction and they get mad at you, how do you pretty much, you know, take that?
I'm a big-hearted kid. I'm a big-hearted guy. I'm a big-hearted person. And I've always seen the potential in everybody around me. You know, you can tell me something and I'm going to figure it out. I always say, well, why not this the other way? I learned the hard way that you can't want more for somebody than what they want for themselves. So what I've started to do is my love comes in a real raw, uncut, and authentic way. So I may say some things that my friends don't agree with, but it's out of real love. Because if I didn't love you, then I wouldn't care about who you became or what you were around. And I'm okay if you don't want to be my friend because of it. I'm okay with knowing that what I said to you or what I tried to do to you was with true intentions about getting you to the best position possible. And in that, I'm also okay with taking bullets from you. You know, I don't come perfect. I don't come whole. I don't come here to bash anybody or make anybody feel down. But, like, I'm here to be held accountable and hold you accountable. So if we're friends and we're true friends, I should be able to come to you and say, hey, bro, what you doing right now? That ain't cutting it. That ain't what we supposed to be doing. What is it that you want to do in life? Now, if, you know, we grow apart, there's friends that I love dearly. but we've grown apart as far as what it is that we do in life. That don't make me love you any less. That just means that we probably can't be around each other as much as we were when we was kids. We can call, we can catch up every now and again, but my life is going here and your life is going there, and that's okay. But I'm not gonna lose myself trying to get you to be here when you don't want to be there.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I needed personally.
Yeah.
But what are yours, like, some of the memories that you remember, or like funny moments, or something that warmed your heart while playing high school basketball here?
I mean, that year that I talked to you about earlier, that my sophomore year, there was so many of them. Like, I remember us going to Murray Ridge and like playing basketball with those kids for a day, and then still at Murray Ridge having our competitive arguments of like, bro, you can't guard me though, and you can't do this. I had a game winner that year, and they rushed the court and picked me up, and I'm yelling, and like, you talking bus rides. I started like a clap where it was like a slow clap that like gained every single one that we started to do before every game, and the whole crowd was clapping, and like, just the feel of like what that was, and being able to like have that entire community thing, like that still to this day, like gives me elation or puts me in those positions of like, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like we take for granted during high school. Like, you just playing, you're not thinking nothing of it. We having fun, we enjoying it, we being who we are. But you take for granted that, hey, this is the last time that I get to put on a jersey with people that I grew up with in my same exact community, who come from the same things that I come from, around people who watched us grow up, who are our peers or who are our family members, and we all are like geared towards the same thing. Like, I didn't really start to reflect on that until I'm a year or two in college, or I'm overseas, and like, wait a minute, bro. Like, no, that was amazing. So, yeah, so many of them.
Okay. So, what would you say is, not mentally, but physically, the biggest challenge on you during the transition from college, high school, or even, professional?
I think high school, like every step that you go, you have to your body has to gain, has to go to another physical level too as well. So for me, I was always a bigger kid with broad shoulders who would do some things, but going to college, you finna go play grown men.
Right.
So I had a frame that could hold more weight than what it was that I was doing. And the same thing when you go from college to pro. So not only just the physical attributes of your body, what you put into your body, how you take care of your body, all of those things are, the main, I don't know exactly what words you used right now because I've been talking, but like challenges that you have to go through, but that's what separates people. Right. So the kid in high school who might have been 190 pounds and got by because he was okay, if he can get to 205 by the time his freshman year starts, or maybe his frame only gets to him to 200, but it's a physical 200, and now he's not getting bumped around or banged and bruised. And now, instead of after a game in high school, he might go to Applebee's and go to a party and be all right. There's still time for that, but when college, after his game, he gets in an ice bath and he goes and gets him something healthy to eat, and now he wakes up and he drinks a shake, and these are the separators, because your body is your temple. Like, whenever the body's done, there's no more you can do in this game.
Okay. Yeah. Did you try to go for any like professional other than football? I said football. I mean basketball.
Yeah, so I actually played like 3 months for an NFL team.
Okay.
Yeah, which that came for a lot of people out of thin air, it kind of seemed like. But at my true senior year at Youngstown State, I had a coach from the Minnesota Vikings call my head coach and say, hey, we looking for guys that potentially could, make a practice roster team, could make the switch, could make it make sense. So that year I was shopping around the idea. Do I do a workout with them? Do I go overseas? Do I transfer? We didn't know if I would still keep my eligibility. So I decided to not try it that year, and I decided to transfer to Clemson. A year later, I get a call from an agent who I've been connected to, who calls me and is like, hey, what if I had an NFL opportunity for you? And at that time, my options were, hey, overseas or corporate America, entrepreneur, whatever. I'm like, so if my options become NFL, overseas, corporate America, why wouldn't I try it? So he broke down the way that they believed this should work. It was going to take a lot of work from my end and their end. They ended up getting me a mini camp tryout. During that mini camp tryout, I was one of 4 players out of 50 to make the 90-man roster. So ended up signing an NFL contract for a little bit, was on through OTAs and early training camp, and then eventually got cut like first or second week into training camp. But was a great experience, was around a bunch of people, got to network, got to learn the business, soaked up all of the knowledge it was that I was supposed to soak up during that time period. So, yeah, it was a transition, but it was a quick little audible in life that, I probably could have made work for a little bit longer. I mean, when it was done and I got cut, I still was a free agent for some time before I decided to go overseas. But, yeah, I definitely attempted to go pro, or I can say went pro in another sport.
Okay. Is there like a quote that you live by every day that you have?
Yeah, tag to my Instagram and my bio. It says start unknown and finish unforgettable. So I'm a huge legacy guy. From the moment I started to understand what the word was or just what it meant to be, I've always sought out to leave a legacy in life. And anytime I go somewhere, I give it my all because, there's honor in my last name, there's honor in my first name, there's honor in everything it is that I do. I don't want to just be the person who lived in the physical. I want my name to live beyond the years and those who come after me to live beyond the years. So everywhere I go, it's like, hey, I can start here. So I'm okay with you not knowing me. But by the time I leave, everybody going to know. And that's going to come from just an infectious energy, my heart, whatever it is that I do. So, yeah, start unknown and finish unforgettable.
That's a good quote. I tried for people, to know me and like build a name for myself. That's why I'm doing this podcast now and wrote books and stuff like that. Because I always felt like I really needed to do more for the community, especially now in this generation where, people talk down on Lorain and say, that this ain't a good community or we're doing something wrong. And part of the stuff that I'm doing now is trying to, focus on the good. People, and after my book and after, my boss right there, they had posted on their Facebook about my book, and I had read the comments, and out of thousands of comments, there was no negative one, and that pretty much made me feel good because I did see this one comment, and a person had said, "This is our future," so that's what made me feel good, and that helped me push a little harder. So I understand where you're coming from for sure. If you were in the NBA, what team would you have looked to get signed for?
Again, I pretty much am okay with making whatever situation work. I'm fine with like, hey, let's thug it out. If I had it my way, playing Cleveland, I'd be at home again because I just know what it would look like for my community and like to be here, to be close, to be around for my family, for like anything I do, I want for everybody around me to experience. That's why a lot of times I do stuff and I make sure, hey, if you're going to talk about me, you're going to put Lorain in the article. If you're going to talk about me, you're going to say something about my family because I want a kid that's here to look up and be like, wait a minute, he's from here and he done this. So I would play for the Cavs and, okay, yeah, we got box seats for the kids this week. We got courtside for this. Even if they never put me in the game, come see the facility. Yep. Come on. Yep. You can get free food. Yeah. Okay. This is what a private jet looks like. This is what a chartered flight is. This is, we got coach buses that, they have, everybody got their spot. Just come check out our recovery room. This is what an NBA locker room look like. So those are some things of why I would want to play at home if I was in the NBA.
Okay. Is there anybody like of all time that you think is the GOAT? Like who's your GOAT? LeBron?
Yeah. That was probably the shortest answer, quickest that I've given this time. But, like, for me, I guess if you want to say there's a home bias, there is that. But, like, loving basketball and understanding the game of basketball, you can argue a mentality or something different like that with other players, but I love to believe that anybody who was going to build a basketball player, you would want LeBron James. Who doesn't want somebody 6'10", 6'9", physical, athletic, floor vision, can shoot the ball well enough, plays defense, has a mind out of this world to do what he does. Like, it's why he is who he is. And, so for me, it's LeBron.
For sure.
I always like to say, too, to the older watchers, if we have him who's award Jordan, or I won't ever, disrespect anybody who came before, anybody, but I also didn't see it with my own two eyes.
Right.
So, and I'm a big eye test guy. And so I can't speak for something that I haven't experienced or super dove into. No. Now, I've watched old film tapes, and I have my other opinion on that, too, but we'll save that for another time.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for having me. Or thank you for coming to the podcast. It means something to me because, you and your mom means a lot to me. So thank you for coming on here and, giving up your time out your way. I know you're doing a lot of stuff with camps and stuff like that. But as an alumni, how do you feel about the, building right now?
Oh, no, listen, I appreciate it. Again, I'm in awe. You asked me coming through, like, it's been a long time since you come in here. And I'm like, yeah, I came just to, check on some things for the camp that I'm having next week. But I'm like, even this setup here, like what you do, like, so you spoke about what they said, like under the comments, but it's the truth. Because just writing a book, having a podcast, being in this room, there's multiple different avenues that you're setting. It's called a trailblazer. If you knew what I meant, if I said a trailblazer, you're a trailblazer for the youth and your peers around you, just to show how many other different areas of life you can go into just from this. And you're in this building doing it. Like you probably reached out, hey, can you help this? I want to do this. And to have guys like, our boss, our director that's here, that's, connecting the dots for you to be able to do so. Yeah. For me is like the most amazing thing. So I walk in, I see MacBooks, I see the cameras, I see the setup. I told you before, it's giving me nostalgia from a time I was in before. But like, this is amazing. These are the opportunities that our kids around here need. This is the positivity piece that they don't see. At least it's the option. If somebody comes in and wants to go a different direction, that's up to them. But having the options to have things like this, to have, the early college setup connected to the building, to, the gym getting redone every summer, there's so much that, is enjoyable for somebody who's been through here and, understood the process and seen what it's like to come for. And I also understand the negative connotation that we have from the world. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, man.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
Thank you.